Hi, I'm Brian McLachlan and this is Deep Thought Balloon, little videos about comics, stories, pop culture, and other stuff. We know how to make jokes and how they work, so let's move on to how and why. Pretty much every culture tells trickster tales. Some examples include North America's Coyote, Scandinavia's Loki, and China's Monkey King. You may want to track down trickster tales from your ancestors' part of the world. Let's look at the story of Eshu, also known as Alegba, from Nigeria. Two best friends who were farmers were working in their fields. Trickster Eshu walked between the friends wearing a hat that was red on one side and black on the other. Later, the two friends got in a huge argument over what color hat the stranger was wearing. They each swore the color of the hat that they saw was the true one. It was obvious it was red. No, it was black. Red, black. They were so mad that they started pummeling each other. Then Eshu came back, showed the friends the two-colored hat, and laughed at them for not trusting each other. He said they were both right and wrong. They needed to move around and look at things from another perspective to see the whole truth. Trickster stories push us to look for truth, especially where we have drawn boundaries. Each farmer is standing in their field, not crossing over to the other side. Have you ever heard the phrase that someone's sitting on the fence, afraid to take sides? Eshu's story shows another way to see it, that those who are stuck in one place aren't the people on the boundary fence, it's the people rooted into a particular viewpoint, not walking a mile in someone else's shoes. Tricksters rarely stay in one place. They travel the world, crossing, pushing, rewriting boundaries, just like the benign violation theory. Their actions are sometimes helpful, sometimes harmful, but usually changing the world in a dramatic way. For instance, Coyote stole fire for humans, and Loki tricked the dwarves into making Thor's magic hammer. They often pay the price, getting hurt for making those jokey boundary crossings, though. It's a good warning. These tricksters are usually not humans or gods, peasants or kings, but somewhere in between. Half-gods, jesters, outlaws, outsiders. Look at the Joker in the deck of cards. Usually, it's not even used. But when you make them wild, a Joker can join 4 twos to beat 4 kings as 5 of a kind. So most of the time, you can write them off, but occasionally a Joker has more power than kings. Jokes give you a chance to laugh off a boundary you want to cross. When someone texts, "We should go to the dance together, lol." What they really mean is, "I would like to go to the dance with you, but if you're not into it, I would like us to pretend that I never asked you." So comedy has value in protecting ourselves as we approach an uncomfortable place. Unfortunately, bad people sometimes use that to say terrible things. They want to cross and push boundaries and not make the world better for all, but for themselves. If pretty much all of their jokes are punching down instead of using 1 or 2 that step over the line, they're trying to steal the power of the trickster for their own use. "I'm just joking" shouldn't be an excuse for repeatedly bad behavior. The Tricksters Travel goes 2 ways. If comedy can help us approach an uncomfortable place, it can also help us leave one. When something tragic happens, you know you're starting to heal from it because you can laugh about it. The accept part of see, recognize, and accept. To me, the opposite of comedy isn't seriousness. This whole series is serious about joking. The opposite is solemnity, the way you stand quietly for the national anthem, or at a funeral. We are solemn when tragedy feels fresh for us. People say tragedy plus time equals comedy. We can publicly joke about the Titanic sinking or the destruction of Pompeii, but we stay solemn about 9/11. But time isn't the only distance between tragedy and comedy. It can be about whether the effects of the tragedy are still going on. The Titanic's passengers aren't still drowning, but 9/11 first responders are still suffering the health effects of being at ground zero. It can be about how distant you feel from those affected by the tragedy. If you don't live in the West, maybe joking about 9/11 isn't a big deal to you, especially if your country has its own violence that's more recent or ongoing than 9/11. The trickster, as an outsider, sees, recognizes, and accepts their way out of tragedy faster. That comes into conflict with people who are trying to be solemn. Let's look at how we can help make that go easier. If a tragedy didn't affect you personally, don't joke about it. That's the easiest thing to do. Just find another joke. There's countless jokes out there, and you can find another one. If you feel like you must share a potentially offensive joke, whether you wrote it or you're repeating it, don't go telling it to people who are affected by it. Don't seek them out as an audience and try to rush their healing. You don't go to the cancer ward to tell your cancer jokes, unless the hospital set it up as a program that people can choose to do if they want that help. If you do have a personal tragedy you want to heal from, joke about it in a place that's yours. With your closest friends, in your own personal comic. If you're doing a biographical comic, your audience will expect it and usually be glad for it. Same with political comics. If you're doing an adventure story where your personal experiences are hidden behind a layer of metaphor, your tragedy will probably need to be there too, or it'll be jarring. Where joking about a tragedy you have no ownership of can reveal someone is insensitive, responding to a joke that you have no ownership of can do the same thing. If you're saying, "How dare you joke about that?" to someone who has faced that tragedy, you might be getting in the way of their acceptance phase. If someone who does have ownership is offended about a joke someone told, sure, stand with them. But it's condescending to think that you know enough to speak on behalf of a group of people that that person is a member of and you're not. Also remember that you have a responsibility as an audience member not to be mad when you seek out comedy and it makes a joke at your personal sore spot. We want to have a fool to say things we can't say, but it's hypocritical to get mad at them when they say things we don't want to hear if you went to their space looking for jokes. Getting mad at comedy for not being solemn at the right moments for you is like getting mad at a bus stopping for someone else's stop. It's not there just to service you if you decided to go along for the ride in the first place. Modern day jokers are like these tricksters of myth. Sometimes their jokes are hurtful, sometimes helpful. They're able to see things that most of us aren't looking for and remind us with a laugh because a joke can help ease the difficulty of facing a hard truth. Sometimes just saying the truth is funny, just like an insult comic or caricaturist who's willing to tell a complete stranger that they have big ears. It can make the audience laugh because someone's crossing society's boundaries. Jokers need to announce that they're joking though. Just walking up to someone and joking with them by telling them they have big ears, or replying to their social media with your joke, isn't cool. It's rude. As kids, we announce a joke with knock knock, or asking a question like, what do you get when you cross a... It asks the audience for consent. If they reply with, who's there? Or, I don't know, what do you get? It lets you know that they're okay with joking around with you at this time. Stand-up comics announce that they're entering boundary-crossing territory by being on a comedy stage late at night. Hand-drawn comics usually announce they're going to be funny by having 1 or 3 panels, and possibly edgy if they're in an adult publication instead of in the more public newspaper. We can learn some good things from tricksters. Tragic stories are about heroes who die for their beliefs, unchanging in the face of adversity, a soldier who dies for their country, a suitor who loses everything over unrequited love. Comedies are stories about heroes who find a way to change themselves, possibly the world, and live on with laughter. A soldier who finds peace without killing, a suitor who discovers they need to grow before they can find the love of their life. Go out there and see things from another perspective, recognize and accept them, and then you can report back with a fresh view on things to make people laugh and accept them as well. Good luck and keep thinking deep thought balloons.